do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Chronicles of Hope is essential reading for seekers of inspiration and spiritual empowerment. This series offers nourishment for those on a path of increased awareness at this challenging time. Inspired by higher sources of wisdom, Chronicles of Hope delivers messages to lift your spirit with a roadmap of hope and guidelines for living a life of expanded consciousness. The guides offer powerful insight for mental, emotional, and spiritual growth at this critical tipping point for humanity. The message is clear. We must change. We have the power to raise our vibrational energy individually and collectively before it's too late. I am Lois Herman, author of the best-selling Chronicles of Hope series and host of the Inspiring Hope radio show at WSMN.live or 95.3 FM. You can find me at loisherman.com or chroniclesofhope.net.
Welcome to Inspiring Hope with Lois Herman, a leading expert in professional coaching, clinical hypnosis, and energy clearing. Lois is an award-winning author of Chronicles of Hope. She has decades of experience in advanced hypnosis techniques, has conducted highly effective success coaching programs that have helped clients discover ways to achieve success, empower themselves, their families, as well as holistic practitioners to expand their practices. Get ready to be empowered with your host, Lois Herman.
Good morning, and welcome to Inspiring Hope. I am your host, Lois Herman, and I'm here to inspire you with positive messages and celebrate people who are making a difference in our world. When we focus our thoughts and energies on truth, honesty, and integrity, we create powerful shifts that cause us to be more positive and peaceful. As we lift our energy, we empower everyone around us. If we each do what we can to make small shifts in awareness, we create ripples of hope. Join us as catalysts for positive change for our families, our communities, and our world at large. And I hope you're inspired by today's show. Well, many of us have questions about the unseen world and formulate ideas based on our own experiences. If you listened to last week's show with Nick Sylvester, you probably have lots of questions based on his fascinating comments about the cosmos and extraterrestrial life. Well, we'll definitely have Nick back on the show to share more of his amazing truths. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, please like, share, and type your questions in the comment section. You can also send some questions and ideas about future shows to info@loisherman.com. We'd love to hear from you. Well, today, I'm delighted to be joined in the studio by my dear friend, Christine Peck, who's also one of my beloved energy consultants. And she's experienced much of what Nick spoke of in our own session work, except she travels to the interdimensional world of the great unseen. Yes, we've encountered reptilians, greys, Orions, mantids, bots, hybrids, and a myriad of other strange creatures that some may refer to as demons, except they exist in another realm. We also encounter real-life nasty people in physical bodies who are soulless, and we wonder what can be done to help any of them. Are they real? Is it our imagination? How do we really know? In the upcoming Archangel book, Archangel Raphael tells us proof denies faith. That's powerful. Well, looking back, I realize I've been exposed to dark energy for over 50 years, yet my first aware encounter with what I simply refer to as a nasty was while doing a surrogate session with my mentor almost 30 years ago. This nasty creature had taken hold of someone close to me by way of a curse. It created very strange negative behavior patterns like unexplained anger, sleep disturbances, hearing voices, and sudden outbursts in this usually kind, gentle person. While removing this nasty creature, it came into me. So I know firsthand what it feels like to be possessed of something dire, nasty, and evil. Now, this was the first time I was consciously aware of a presence like this, yet it would not be the last. Once the entity was expertly and calmly removed, the person we were helping returned to their gentle, peaceful, easygoing demeanor. So spiritual energy work is not all about unicorns and fairies, people. Even working with angels requires discernment. Many years ago, Archangel Michael told me we must first ask for protection, then healing through clearing, and finally empowerment. Well, these nasty entities exist in the unseen world around us. They feed off of our light, our fear, and our energy because they have none of their own. Over the years, I've developed ways of identifying them, removing them from myself and others, while learning to maintain sacred space to prevent them from interfering in my world. They are unseen, yet they're very, very real. Electricity is unseen, yet you know it's real if you stick a knife in a wall socket, right? It's the same sort of thing. Over the years, our energy clearing sessions have developed from having the client do it themselves with moderate success if they're open and clear, yet many are energetically blocked initially, so they have a difficult time seeing or sensing their energy. Then we did remote clearings for clients, which cleared their energy, yet didn't show or teach them what was truly happening in their energy. We now do tandem sessions with an experienced hypnosis energy expert like Christine, who sees what's going on in the client's energy in sessions together with the client. This way, they see what's happening in their energy simultaneously. This gives them a hands-on experience with true validation as to what's happening in their world and teaches them what to do to protect themselves from future attacks or issues. One of our most common comments from our clients is, "That was crazy. You can't make this stuff up," although they usually say something else. So think about those strange dreams, voices, or visions you've had. What caused them? And what can be done about them? Wouldn't you like to know what they're all about? In a moment, Christine and I will discuss some of our most unusual cases and the beings that we encounter. Even we now have a small gray being who goes by the name Meter. We're seeing many more strange entities these days. People need to be aware that they're really not crazy, especially if you're a light worker. It may simply mean you have been selected. You may have been targeted with simple spirits, nasty curses, even implants that interfere with your health and happiness. In a moment, we'll share more about what we've encountered and what you can do to protect, heal, and empower yourselves. Our guides tell us we must learn from and return to the ways of the native peoples. They knew more than we will ever give them credit for. And that's some magical Native American energy clearing music. So music has different frequencies that help with our energy, and we know that. So you're listening to Inspiring Hope with Lois Herman at WSMN.live or 95.3 FM. If you enjoy our content, please like, share, and subscribe to our Lois Herman Associates YouTube channel and sign up for our newsletter at loisherman.com. You can also join our community at chroniclesofhope.net. Well, today I'm delighted to be joined in the studio by Christine Peck, an amazingly gifted visionary who is able to tap into others' auras and communicate with those in the unseen world. I'm ever grateful to be working with you and especially to call you dear friend. So welcome.
Thank you. It is a privilege to be here.
Well, we were going to originally do a session on grief because you've recently lost your dad and you helped your mom through the grieving process. And we should probably spend maybe a minute or two talking about that. However, after Nick's show last week, we had lots of questions, and Christine and I said, well, let's just jump on here and talk about our experiences to kind of validate what he was talking about. Yeah. So
no, it was a very powerful show.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And he had a perspective on it that educated me on a lot of parts, because my learning and knowing of it has been a journey that I've had. And as I think continue to do what you're talking about, being protecting and then empowering oneself to then, be clear, then you can actually get more messages. You can see more with your third eye, basically, and sense, see, feel, and trust, and tell the analytical mind to go to the background. Because if you overthink everything that you're going to be receiving of messages, they will eventually stop coming, because you just have to be just really open and trust. When you were talking about faith, having faith in the process is very important.
And you have to have, like I said, the protection. Plus, learning to do these sessions in tandem.
Right.
I am grounded. I am holding the space. We set the sacred space, and I'm holding the protection and being very aware of what's going on, so that that gives you the opportunity. Somebody needed to have some safety here.
Yes.
So we'll send a prayer. So, Christine, what Nick is talking about is very much in a tangible world.
Right.
What we experience is more in the spiritual, ethereal work.
Correct.
But very similar, yet we see, sense, and feel these energies in what we call the fourth dimension, in that unseen dimension. So what I'd like you to tell us is, this just didn't boom happen overnight for you.
No.
How did you get started in this kind of a channel? Basically, you've become a channel where you can tap into other energies. How did that start for you?
It was actually very interesting. About 30 years ago, I was in therapy, going through my divorce. I had 2 small boys, and I was a single mom with a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old, and I was really struggling on what to do. So I found this very gifted therapist who I am forever grateful, and making progress, learning how to handle, the ups and downs of life, and not, burst into a puddle of tears, at the drop of a hat. And then one day in a therapy session, she said, I believe you have a lot of, she called them entities at that time, and she said, they're unseen, but I want to send you to someone who can help clear, because I think your energy is being interfered with and being, drained. So I had never heard of this. This was new to me. But I trusted her, and she sent me to a very gifted hypnotist who did dowsing work. And I went in, and I have to admit, I felt very funny, because she had the regular hypnosis form. Why are you here? Is it weight loss, or is it, for sleeping disorders or something? And I'm writing negative entities, on the sheet. And I thought, I hope I'm in the right place, because that wasn't one of the choices. And she smiled, and she said, "Oh, okay, no problem." So what ended up happening was she put me, I had never been hypnotized before, so this was all new to me, the experience of it. She put me into this beautiful, relaxed state, and then she called in her guides, and Archangel Michael and Jesus as well. I do remember her calling in Jesus, and she had dowsing rods, and she was checking to see how many entities I had, and her method was to remove them one at a time. And as I was sitting there, I was counting on with my fingers, and when I got to 10, I thought, "Oh, I've run out of fingers." And then I went round a second time round, and I finally stopped when I was past 20. But there was a lot that were there, and every time one of them was wrapped up away in light and sent away, and Archangel Michael was there to send them away, I could feel myself feeling lighter and better and more grounded. And at the end of the whole session, I felt like I could almost float off the chair.
Wow.
I could not believe the
Very
difference.
powerful.
It
Yeah.
was so powerful. So that was my first experience, my first really understanding that there are unseen things that really have an effect on
Right.
us. And so that was pretty much.
And then you went on to study hypnosis yourself.
I did. I was
Yeah.
so intrigued with hypnosis. I thought, wow, this is cool. So I became a certified hypnotist. And then whenever I would go to the National Guild for my annual group to take more classes and seminars, I would always look for the ones that had dowsing or spiritual work or anything along those lines. And so that was the beginning of my journey.
And that's where you found me.
And that is where I found you. That is exactly where I found you. Yeah. I was in one of your classes that was called, I think it had hope in there.
Inspiring Hope. Yeah.
Inspiring Hope. And this was in 2019. And this was at a time that I thought the world definitely needed hope. And I remember sitting in there just mesmerized by the messages, by everything that you had to say, and I was like, wow, this is perfect. So
that was the year that I introduced Book 1.
Right.
And we had a booth, and I was introducing the messages from Book 1.
Right.
And so then the next year, we introduced Book 2, but that was during the COVID lockdowns.
Right.
And then this year, at the National Guild of Hypnotists, we'll be introducing Book 3,
right.
which just got sent off for the author proof this
Oh
week.
my
I am
God.
so excited. This is about the
Congratulations.
archangels.
Yes.
And you've been instrumental in
Yes.
this book.
Yes.
You've been very much a part of this book,
Yeah.
as have other members of Team Hope.
Right.
It's really, it's so powerful. It's really one of those
Right.
wake me up kind of books. The
Right.
archangels are not featherweight angels.
No.
Let me just tell you. They're like, you guys need to wake it up. You have let your world get the way it is.
Correct.
We need you to step up. We can help,
Right.
but you must ask.
Right.
That's the most powerful message that comes through,
Right.
is that they can't interfere with our free will.
Right.
We must ask, and they're ever ready and willing to help. So I'm real excited about getting this book
Yes.
out.
No, it is very exciting. So really from when I met you and then started taking your classes that you offered, that really opened up the world for me to be active in the way of understanding and helping to help others and to clear myself and to just be a part rather than just be a participant where I was being cleared.
I know that you took the energy clearing and alignment, the advanced training,
I did.
and then we cleared your office.
Yes.
That was pretty profound.
Yes.
You and your husband have a chiropractic practice.
Right.
And that was an eye opener. Also, your dog was feeling some
Right.
strange energies
Right.
around your dog.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so that was a pretty profound clearing.
It was very profound, and what, as I've been on this journey, learning that it's not just people that can have the negative energy or the nasties, as you call them, whatever is under that label. It can be your environment. It can be. We've discovered in our office when we did the clearing is that sometimes some spirits that are really lost and not sure of where to go travel in on one of our practice members, and then they like the energy of the office and they just jump on board. So there's a way that you have to just be aware of this unseen.
Right.
And you're exactly right. I mean, animals as well. So when you start expanding that, it's your environment that you're in, it's where you go. You have to be very aware of when you're walking into I've discovered that going to places that have big crowds, I've been recently traveling a lot to go see my mom, helping her with the process of when my dad was dying and after. You're in an airport and there are a lot of people there. There's a lot of chaos in that sense. So I'm extra careful whenever I'm going into a place
Putting up
like
your
that.
deflector shields.
Putting up my deflector
because
shield.
what
exactly.
happens is light workers are people who exude a bright light.
Right.
Some of these lost souls that have no energy,
Right.
they're lost. The Christians would call them the lost souls of purgatory.
Right.
They're not many of we call. There's entities,
Right.
and then there are lost souls.
Right.
The lost souls are just like a mother that didn't want to leave her children.
Right.
There are a lot of lost souls out there.
Right.
They are attracted to the bright light of people, the soft light, the gentle people.
Right.
And so then the person will feel burdened afterwards because you've picked up a hitchhiker. You've
Right.
got a Klingon.
Right,
Exactly.
exactly.
And they're feeding off of your energy. So that
Right.
there's so many different layers of these entities.
Right.
The most common is just lost souls.
Yes.
Many times the lost souls are, I've talked about this type of a scenario before where it's kind of nasty grandma who was not happy with her life and she did not go into the light.
Right.
So she's stuck here and then she hangs around and she just drives her relatives nuts. So
Right. Right.
it's like she's still in the room going, eat your vegetables. So we have to help nasty grandma,
Right.
into the light. And this is where the power of prayer.
Right.
Praying helps. Praying specifically for a person
Right.
helps to lift their energy.
Correct.
But what they'll do is if we are unprotected and we are doing our clearing, wonderful, healthy, happy, spiritual light worker work, we're like beacons. Oh,
Yeah.
come on. And they're like, oh, I'm just going to go by her because I've already drained that person's
Right.
energy. So,
Right.
we've got some energy sources here.
Yeah.
It's a very real phenomenon.
It is.
And so we've got that. And then we've got, you and I have encountered lots of different ones.
We have. And the other thing I would like to say is when we do the tandem work, it is so powerful because you're there keeping everything grounded and keeping, there's always an extra level of protection that I feel that it's okay to go into a deep state where whatever messages I'm getting, and then when we're with the client, there is their energy that taps into it as well. So it's a team working together. Whereas even doing remote clearing is not as powerful because that you're lacking that active participation of that client who is there, who is very much engaged in wanting to see and help and to get themselves cleared.
And it validates, the both of
It
you
does.
validate because
It does.
you'll see
Yeah.
something. I'll give a
Right.
case in point. We did a session with this wonderful woman we've been working with for a while.
Right.
And you were seeing what you were describing. They're both in trance. I'm
Right.
guiding and observing.
Right.
And also if I see either one of them get emotional, stop, freeze, back
Right.
up. So
Right.
I'm monitoring. A lot of people who do mediumship work
Right.
can step into a nest of nasties without being aware, without being protected, and there's nobody to bring them back. So
Right.
there have been many times when people have gotten into trouble, and by me being grounded and aware,
Right.
I'm
Right.
holding and I'm slow. Let's
Right.
back up. Let's let's shift gears here a little bit.
Right.
So there was a situation last week where this woman kept talking about a portal under her bed, and we've been working with her for a while. She has another energy worker that's working with her that
Right.
keeps seeing a portal, but this portal keeps opening. Then all of a sudden, you just started describing these blob bots or something
Right,
like that.
right.
They're little blobs that, and all of a sudden, this woman that we're clearing is like, "Oh my God, I've been seeing them for years."
Right.
So
Yeah.
you validate one another. So it's not
Right.
like I'm seeing this and I'm crazy.
Right.
Because
Right.
you see it, then she sees it, and it's like it makes it more real.
Correct.
And there was what we called a dynamic portal because it would hide itself.
Right.
It could and go
Right.
into hide mode, and then it could
Right.
open up, and it was allowing these interdimensional entities through.
Correct. And
These-
that was very powerful finding that one because we had looked before and
Yes.
I hadn't seen
Right.
a portal, but the portal could do exactly that. And for some reason, this time I was able to see it, and we wrapped it up in light, and then we were able to figure out that it was not like a standard portal, if we want to have, but it was one that was placed there, that was a bot of
by
some
an AI.
sort. By an AI.
We are
right.
finding a lot of artificial intelligence, AI type
Right.
designed. I
Right.
can't. I have a whole long list. We've many clients, but
Right.
this one woman in particular,
Right.
she's had curses from
Right.
multiple different types of witches, and they will send really nasty cloaks,
Right.
and it makes brain fog. It makes you can't,
Right.
paralyzed, very strange dreams, but witches with curses. And she also had reptilians
Right.
that we sent reptilians away, and then she had a giant.
Yeah.
That we
That was amazing.
what we've been working with reptilians for a long time, and what
Right.
we've recently learned to do is communicate instead of just wrap them up, send them away. Archangel Michael takes care of them.
Right.
We've been communicating with some of them. So the first one we really communicated with was Emmanuel, who was
Correct.
this giant. He was the spirit of a giant, and he was this client was seeing visions of this giant behind her in her dreams,
Right.
and he was scaring her, and that was what he was supposed to do, was scare her, and
To generate the fear.
to generate
for
the fear
energy, yeah.
for the louche,
Right.
because it was she is this beautiful soul,
Yeah.
is a huge light worker,
Right.
but they have devised ways of draining the energy from light workers, and there are many. We've encountered probably, I want to say, 6 to 10 different types of energy draining bots or devices or entities
Right.
that will, and on this poor one person,
Yeah.
and it's like peeling layers.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is designed to stimulate fear, because the negative energy feeds off of fear. If you look around our world today, it's all about fear, fear, fear. And now we've got communal fear. We've got, and then these entities that don't have energy, they feed off of that. It's called louche, is the fear energy. And so what we have to do is be aware that this stuff is going on and raise our vibration to one of peace. And then as we lift our energy to high vibe, we also have to be aware that we're attracting the ones that are like, oh, look here. So you have to be careful about lowering your energy, because you attract certain types.
Right.
And you have to be careful when you raise your energy, because you attract other kind. So it's an interesting learning. This has been a fascinating learning, and in asking the questions, where do you come from? What tell us about you, right?
Absolutely. And for me on this journey, at the beginning, it was like I almost felt like whoever we encountered came right into me and was speaking through me.
Right.
And that actually became very uncomfortable for me. And because I felt all that they were feeling, like really profoundly, and so I then was able to, as we were doing more of these sessions, I was able to say, okay, you stay there, and I will take your answer and talk through me, which has made it easier on me.
Right.
Which is really good. But Emmanuel was one of the first, and he did come into me. And you were just brilliant, because you kept asking these questions about who are you doing this for, and why are you doing this? And what we came to discover was that he was doing this because he had been a slave for all of his life, and then when he was gone, he was continuing to do this because there was no salvation for all that he had done that was so really detrimental to humanity. And you you said to him, well, look for that part of light inside of you. And he was able to find it. And it was so amazing, because he was inside of me at that time, so I could feel the awakening and the transformation. And he realized that he didn't know why he was doing all of this. And Archangel Michael came as well to make sure that he was speaking from truth, that we
Right.
weren't being deceived. I mean,
Exactly.
that was very, very important.
And then the emotion that came
Oh,
through
it
when he
was-
realized how all the harm that he had been doing,
Right,
but
right.
his bosses,
Yeah.
his that had been his captors,
Right.
were gone. They've
gone.
all been telling us they've been gone
Right.
for since the fall,
Right.
and that ties right in with what Nick was saying about
Right.
the galactics have removed the reptilians last fall, but we've encountered probably 5 different entities that were slaves,
To the
small
reptilians.
grays and
Right.
and other type of artificial,
Right.
and plus these giants
Right.
that used to live on the planet. And
Right.
and so Emmanuel
Yeah.
talked about, well, I was a small giant.
Yeah, he did. I've forgotten that. He did
Yeah.
keep saying that.
and he has
Yeah.
the other thing is his energy is so big, strong. Now he wants to protect this client and her
Right.
family, and he came to help. One of her sons was having a nightmare from another entity.
Right.
He came in to protect him
Right.
and touched his hand.
Right.
And when the son woke up in the morning, he had a burn mark on his hand.
I know. It
And
was really
seriously had a burn mark.
amazing. It was
And so
amazing.
Emmanuel had to learn that no, you can't, he was putting too much energy. So he's
Right.
having to learn how to control his
Yeah.
energy. But he's helping now,
Right.
and he's reversing all the harm that he
Right.
had been. That was his job,
Right.
was to scare the people
Right.
and to bring disturbance to people.
Right.
So he is so happy. He
Yeah.
comes back like the happy
Yeah,
green giant.
he does.
He's
He does.
it is amazing to watch these beings that have been hijacked to do evil,
Right.
that once given a free will choice, they choose
Yeah.
grace. They choose to do goodness.
Right.
So if any being, I don't care where you're from,
Yeah.
if you have a thread of compassion and kindness and care in your heart,
Right.
you will choose, if given a choice,
Yeah.
you will choose to do goodness.
Yeah. No, it was very powerful. It was very, very powerful, and just opened me up to a realm and possibilities that are completely unseen and unknown to me. I did not have Nick's amazing background, and
Right.
there are a lot of others that have it, but I feel such deep gratitude and so blessed to be able to get these messages that will help.
Exactly.
Like our beautiful client that we're working with now.
And the other thing is that I'm the same way with, Nick has all this background in his
Right.
studies. So there are
Right.
other people who have encountered this sort of stuff.
Right.
That's not in my purview either.
Right.
I just ask questions from these ones. So it's fascinating to me how the information that we're getting overlaps.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's validating. Again, it's
Right.
validating when you hear Nick saying things like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we that's what we learned,
Yeah.
but we've learned it from a different avenue."
Right.
And
Right.
my goodness, it's a busy day around here today. Usually there's
usually-
some interference happening here, and
There
that's
is.
all right. We'll just go with it. So
Right.
I want to talk about another one of our favorite beings. Actually, I tell you what. Christine, you did this yesterday so beautifully. Will you set a sacred space and let's see what happens?
I will.
Will you
definitely.
lead us in our sacred space?
Yes, I will. Okay. So that I would love everyone to just be with all who are listening, to just hear these words of how to set a sacred space. So imagine 8 columns of crystalline white light going deep into Mother Gaia and going high up into Father Sky. And these columns of white light are connected with a wall of crystalline, the same beautiful crystalline light, connecting all of them in an octagonal shape. A dome of this beautiful light below, a foundation below, and a dome above. And on top of this, we have a protective coat that surrounds the entire sacred space that allows all that which is serves in our best interest and for our highest good to come through and be heightened and resonate at a higher level, and all that which does not serve for our highest good to be deflected and transmuted to positive as it's sent away. We ask Saint Germain to come and bring the beautiful purple flame, protecting all and keeping us more unseen in the sense from anything that may be seeking out to diminish light. We then ask all of our guides to come in, and we ask all of the archangels to be present and to be here helping all of us to be serving for our highest good. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very
So
welcome.
let's see if things calm down a little bit.
Okay.
So we set that sacred space. We do that exercise every morning
Right.
before we wake up. Set the intention for the day. We do it at night before we go to sleep. And I tell you what, I sleep so soundly
Right.
because we've got protection around us.
Right.
And we've cleared our houses.
Yeah.
Many people who have nightmares, dreams, they're open.
Right.
That is when a lot of the unseen energies are most active, is in the middle of the night. So if you just learn how to set that sacred space, we actually have a recording of it on the website, loisherman.com. You can go there you just listen to it and use it. We encourage people to use it regularly.
When I started using this on a regular basis, it made such a difference. I mean, it truly, truly. I had my protective bubble before, and I still very much use that.
Yes.
But as soon as I started incorporating the sacred space, it does exactly what you're saying. It just, you wake up and it's the first thing that comes into your mind, and you're set for the day. And it's just, I don't know, for me, it brings a sense of peace and knowing that I am in a protective mode.
And you know what comes to me is people who work out regularly, they set their day with a workout and it makes them feel good.
Right.
This is the same sort of practice. You can't just expect to be spiritual.
Right.
You have to work on this. You have to take the time to do the work to set your space and to set your intention. It's not, monk on the mountain, la la, I'm spiritual. No. It takes intent, it takes intention, it takes practice.
It does.
It's
definitely
a
takes
practice.
practice. And what I've come to understand in doing this is that everyone has the capacity
Oh, yes.
to be able to do this. And it does take letting go of any doubt that you may have about the process and just trusting your inner voice, your intuition, and doing very much, going into meditation, learning how to just be in that moment, be in the now, and always in a protected way.
And one of the things that we have discovered over the past year and some
Yeah.
is the change in auras. I mean, what I had done for so many years was identify your aura changes color based on your moods, your energy.
Right.
It gets depleted if you're stressed. It gets
Right.
ziggy-zaggy if you're stressed.
Yeah.
And you have different cords attached or entities attached.
Right.
But since the juice
Yeah.
that's been injected in people's bodies, the auras have decidedly changed.
They have.
And this is something I know a lot of people are working with pine needle tea and
Right.
doing different things to nurture the physical body.
Right.
What we are seeing and have seen, and many of us have seen on our team, that the auras are more orange, ruddy colored, and then we
Right.
find out, well, there's the graphene stuff that's in
Right.
not only in the juice, but it's also in the test kits,
Right.
and it's also in the chemtrails. This stuff
And in the masks, some of the masks.
absolutely.
That,
So we're
Yeah.
being tainted with chemicals
Right.
that are affecting, and we see it in the aura.
Correct.
We see the orange, ruddy, musty, dirty
Right.
grunge in the aura. And then we also have been seeing metallic flecks, spots, bits.
Right.
And it initially it's like, oh, isn't that pretty? Look at
Yeah.
all the sparkles in the aura. I'm like,
Sparkles.
wait a second, this
Yeah.
is not normal.
Yeah.
And actually, it was you. One of the sessions, Mother Gaia came through.
Right.
And what did she tell you? This stuff doesn't belong.
It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to me.
Mm-hmm.
And she was. So then you with it has been a team, you know.
Yes,
with,
it has.
With all of us coming together, you've developed a beautiful protocol that can actually remove all of these things from the aura. And what gets removed, that goes back to Mother Gaia, goes back to Mother Gaia. And what doesn't belong to Mother Gaia, Archangel Michael takes care of. And so, and then, you know, we've worked with enough people who it's amazing the difference that they feel after having that kind of clearing. So it's been an amazing journey,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been a huge learning process, and being open to the possibility that what we knew 4 months ago may be different in today, and we just add, expand, or change.
Exactly. It's
And
dynamic.
It's very dynamic.
Because we're continuing, and this is part of the learning about what's really going on in our world
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, just being a doomsayer.
Correct.
It's learning what's going on so it makes sense about what we're seeing in the energy field. If we didn't know what was going on, we would just, oh, isn't that pretty? She's got a glittery aura. Yeah, no, that's not healthy.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't belong in you. So we've learned techniques, you know, frozen, freeze it, and
Right.
these liquid, the stuff that when it changes temperature,
Correct.
it solidifies, and then you see
Correct.
more of it.
Correct.
Or when you change the aura color, oh,
Yeah.
look at there, something's hidden.
Yeah.
So we have been given so much information about what to do to clear the aura. You've got to clear your energy. We're 4-part beings.
Yeah.
We're the physical. Yes, we've got to
Yeah.
work on the physical.
Right.
We've got to work on the mental, because
Right.
we're being bombarded with fear-based, you know, fear porn, it's called.
Right.
And
Right.
then the emotional that triggers the emotional stuff
Right.
that makes us feel the feelings of scarcity and, oh my God, what's going to happen? And then
Right.
there's the spiritual. We've got to work
Right.
on all 4 levels.
All 4 parts. Absolutely.
So it's not about stick my head in the sand and I don't want to pay attention to what's going on in the world today because I want to just live on my mountain. That would be great, except
Right.
and this is where our archangels are
Right.
admonishing us.
Right.
That's why your world is where it's at, because you have not been paying attention.
I was one of those
Yeah.
years. I mean, it was when I first met you in 2019 that was my first wake up reading, book 1. I was okay. I'm responsible. I'm one of the ones responsible for how we got to where we are today,
Right.
because I did put my head in the sand and I trusted everything that was being said to me. I didn't question things. I just felt I was super naive and didn't put the effort and work into really researching anything that was coming out via the news. I believed the news. I felt the news was there to help us and to tell us, you know, what was really happening. So my journey has been to really, I felt like I grew up in the last 2.5 years.
Yes.
I've been growing up, I've been learning, and I am now filled with more hope and more optimism and more love. You know, love is really, I heard someone, and I don't remember who it was on one of the podcasts I was listening to, love is going to be the new currency of our world. And I just thought that was so beautiful.
That is beautiful.
Love is going to be our new currency.
And what did Jesus say in book 2? He said, it is simple. It is a matter of simple compassion.
Right.
He said, the word love is so overused.
Right.
It is a matter of simple compassion. In other words, come from the heart.
Right.
Instead of everything analytical. Yes,
Right.
we have to use our mind to learn.
Right.
And it's important to keep that learning, to keep the awareness, because that mental part is critical. We
Yeah.
give up on learning, that's part of us that dies.
Right.
So we have to keep learning and keep the mind stimulated, and yet go with the love in the heart.
Yeah.
And that love also sometimes means self-protection.
Right.
It means discernment.
Right.
There's a lot of discernment that we're being taught, because there are a lot of people that are heartless,
Right.
that are soulless.
Right.
As you know, I was asking Nick questions about hybrids,
Right.
because we have encountered people who
Right.
have no they're
Right.
completely about greed.
Right.
They're completely about what's in it for me. And we've offered them light and they've turned it away.
They've turned it away.
Versus
Right.
we have a, Meter, our
Yeah.
little extraterrestrial
Yeah.
gray,
Yeah.
who is working with us now.
Right.
He found the light in his soul, in his heart, and he is,
Right.
the remorse of
Right.
what he had done.
Right.
And he had been, now we're talking, this goes back to the concentration camps.
Correct.
He worked with the Nazis
Right.
originally in planting coils in light workers. They can identify when you close your eyes, when you are an adept, when you have the ability to tap in energetically,
Right.
you can see the light beings. I mean, they're
Right.
identified at 2 years old.
Yeah.
This is a light being.
Yeah.
We got to take out the
Yeah.
light. We've got to funnel that light for our luge, and we've got to keep them dimmed down. So he was quite proud of his invention.
He was.
Working with the Nazi doctors,
Right.
and would implant these coils.
Yeah.
And they had grown in. We've encountered several different people that have had these coils.
Right.
And then the coil can be activated in different ways.
Correct.
One of them was any time that she would feel love, the coil would activate and she would get a jolt that would physically injure her.
Right.
I mean, this is stuff that's been going on that people
And
have
if
expressed.
I'm correct, that person had that implanted when she was very young.
Yes.
And Meter was the one responsible for that. And the remorse that he felt at this time was so powerful and so intense. No, it's as much as I say it is so real, I don't have a way of taking a picture and showing people what messages I get and what happens, but I see the effects of what comes through and how it helps the client, because they're all of a sudden validated for exactly what they've been feeling so much of their life, and then they're on a journey for healing at the spiritual level.
And these light workers, they're the ones that are being most attacked physically, mentally, emotionally by these they're ET, they're AI type of coils that can't be seen in any of our radiation X-ray material. They're not seen, and he can't also remove them, but he can deactivate them and dissolve them. But it is amazing how. And I remember the first time you encountered. We've named him. He calls himself Meter.
Right.
And you're like, he's ugly. I don't want to talk to him. He was like this small gray, ugly. You were like, no, I don't want to talk to him. I'm like, just ask him a question. And and now he shows up and he's so light and so happy.
Yeah. He had a very dark energy around him at the beginning, and what I have learned for me, and I think everyone is different in how they get their messages and how they relay them, but after a session, if I can share when I come back as much as I can remember to fill in anything that may not have been said, but half an hour later, I don't remember any of it. It's like it's gone. It feels like a dream. So I find that very interesting, to just trust the process.
Yes, and that's a sign of it. You're channeling.
Right.
You're truly channeling the information, and you're being a conduit. And so I'm having to respect that, and respect calling time when I'm realizing that this is a little too much. And some of the ones that you've encountered have been pretty nasty. And I can see the pain, and this is what pull back, push them away, wrap them up. But we work so much with the archangels, and they're the ones that are I call them, they're basically galactics. They are the galactics. We give them names. They've been named as gods of mythology, but they've been with us all along. So they're here. I can see them as these kind of Caspery looking, beings
of light.
But you see them too, and they are truly, they can't incorporate, but they are here energetically helping us. And they communicate with us.
Yes. And it's just, it's beautiful. I want to say magical, but it's a gift. It's just so wonderful when, if I'm feeling for me, I've learned to ask for help. So
Yes.
if I have a day that I'm challenged a little bit more, whatever it may be, and I find myself going down whatever negative loop my mind says to go, I immediately, not always, because I'm human and I sometimes forget. But if I remember, I hit the pause button and I ask my guides to come. And then I ask Archangel Michael to come as well. And he has truly become one of my regular guides.
Yes.
I have sort of it's a team of guides.
So tell us who your guides are, because they're very special.
I have Our Lady of Guadalupe, who
Yeah.
I've had since I was a little girl. I remember seeing her images there. I was born in Mexico City. I would see her image all over the place, and then I always felt as a little girl that she was always with me, and I didn't understand why others couldn't see her. So Our Lady of Guadalupe has been with me my whole life, so she is, I guess, my primary one. And then Mother Gaia is really with me a lot, and she's there, and then I have one who he said I could name him Solar, who has been my guide, but I had not connected with him until I did my Akashic Records with Kathy.
Yes.
And Kathy introduced me to him, and he said, finally. It was like, I've been with you all along. But he is from another dimension, and he thinks that he would scare me if I saw him. So he said, we're just to have you know that I'm here. And I'm invisible to you, and you can call me what you want. And the name that came to my mind was Solar. So Solar is with me. So those are the main three. And then, like I say, Archangel Michael
Right.
is
Yeah.
there a lot.
And you've been with us on some of the major, amazing lightworker journeys that we've been taking as a team.
Correct.
And we're called to help wherever we can. And be it shift the energy in the dumbs, in the tunnels, help rescuing the souls of the children that have been so terrorized. And we've done a lot of stuff with Native American cultures,
And that's wonderful when we do those journeys, because we're all together. There are a lot of us that have set our sacred space. We're in a very safe place. We have all of our guides with us. And it is so powerful, so much more powerful than an individual doing it. And an individual doing it by themselves is not recommended.
Absolutely.
Because one of the journeys we did with our sweet client, who I went down deep, and there was the best I can describe it as a very bad energy, evil black creature that had black wings, a giant bird type of thing. And that one affected me. And you pulled me back and you got me protected, because I could feel. So had I been thinking I could do this all by myself, that would not have been good.
And that's one of the main teachings is don't do this work. You cannot do this work alone. It's important to be a part of a team.
Correct.
Because there are deceivers, there are shapeshifters. I can't tell you how many Jesuses show up. Oh, I work with Jesus. He's my guide. Take a look at his eyes. Oh, they're red. Or they're black. That ain't Jesus. Or they're mean. There's not a mean bone in his energy.
Exactly.
Not that he has a bone anyway, but oh my gosh, this hour went so fast.
Oh, it did? Oh my goodness.
we see so much hope. Our guides have shown us so much hope. We have to hold the hope. We've got to keep the high vibe. The darkness is there. Be aware of it. Stay clear of it. Set your sacred space. Connect with us through the books, through our Chronicles of Hope community. We're here. We're here. And share with each other. Thank you so much. I so appreciate you.
Absolutely.
And until we're almost, we still have a minute. We still have a minute. Okay. One last message.
All right. You go. I feel like I've...
Yeah. Well, I'm very excited about getting the message out there. There's so much confusion in the world.
Right.
Get your head out of the sand.
Yes.
Pay attention to what's really going on. There are truly evil people who are wanting to take over our country, our world, for their own purposes. Wake up, people, and do what you can in your own small way. Because if we each do what we can, we will make a difference. Be that little ripple in a large pond. Until next time, please look up, stay positive, and be the light in someone's day.